Oh hey guys, if you have a BMW that's misfiring, you're definitely going to want to start here. For context, this is a 2007 BMW 525i, and it has the N52 engine with the magnesium valve cover. And I was actually a technician at a BMW dealership for 12 years, so I've definitely learned a lot. So the other day I did some shopping, and when I left and started my car, put it in drive to go away, it starts shaking like this, especially with my foot on the brake. It was like G, and I was like, oh, definitely a misfire. It smooths out a little bit as you start driving, especially with just one cylinder on an inline six, but you could definitely tell it was misfiring. And it took maybe like a minute, but the check engine light did come on, and then I pulled over into a gas station. And fortunately, I carry handy dandy little scan tool in my car. So I plugged it in, and this happens to be a BMW specific scan tool, but it also has OBD2. And I actually have a little video on this thing. It's super handy to have in your vehicle, especially because it doesn't use a battery, so it's ready to go anytime. But for something like this, you just need an OBD2 scanner, and then you can actually get one for the price of a fast food meal. Car on, engine off, and start the OBD2 scan. And right now I don't have any codes, but there was a pending code, and it was for misfire on cylinder 6 only. And I knew this day would come because a long time ago I was on a road trip and I was in town at a stoplight. It was super hot out, and it felt like the car was misfiring for a little bit, but it didn't last long, and it never misfired again for like 2 years until now. But after I got back from that trip, me being a BMW technician, I actually just bought a single coil. This is the part number, because I didn't want to be out on the road without a spare coil. And it finally came in handy. So at the gas station, I opened the hood and I had to take the engine cover off. However, I didn't have any Torx in my car. And you can actually take these little clips off, sometimes just your finger by kind of pushing and turning. Some of them you can get off with your hands, but I just stuck them in my pocket so you don't drop and lose them in the BMW hardware and tool dungeon of doom. But in a bind, you can actually just use a pair of needle nose pliers to get these off. No big deal. But the easiest way to get these little screw looking clips off is using a T45 Torx bit, and you don't even need like a ratchet or anything. You can just turn them with your hand. Super easy. It's just about 90 degrees and they just pop out. And then I would recommend taking this plastic thing off. It just pulls right off. Get to this one, the hardest one right here. Try not to lose anything. And then this engine cover just kind of lifts up in the front and slides out like that. Super simple. And these coil packs are super easy. You don't need any tools to replace them or move them around or anything. You can do it with just your hands. And I had a misfire on cylinder 6, and these are just numbered starting at the front. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is way back there, which is a little tricky to get to, but it's really not that bad. I have already replaced it. To remove these coils, just pull up right here. It's kind of clipped in a little bit, and as you pull up on this tab, it pushes the connector out. The clip is all the way up. You can just pull on it. Sometimes if you wiggle them a little bit, they'll just pop out. And then once you get it out to here, the connector should just slide off. And there's your coil pack. And the number 6 coil is definitely going to be the most challenging, but you're going to want to unclip this little wire harness, kind of move the clip out of the way. And then just like cylinder 2 that we removed, it's basically the same thing. Once you get it out to here, go ahead and close the lid on it. And kind of wiggle it out to where these wire harnesses are. There we go. So the one I pulled out at number 2 is a OEM original BMW part. And you can see it says Bosch, Germany, and this is the older style. And this is the new one. And this is the one I bought from BMW. And it says Delphi. So when you have a misfire, it's always good to diagnose it instead of just like randomly put parts in there. I had a new coil pack in my trunk, so that's what I did. I just put it in there just to see if it would fix it, and it did. So I left it in there so I could drive around without a misfire, because driving around with a misfire is not very good. It's not good for your catalytic converter, and it could fuel wash the cylinder. Usually these newer vehicles, if they find a misfire, they will turn off the injector. However, it might not be immediate, and you just don't want to be driving around with a misfire as much as possible. Obviously, I drove it down the block to a gas station. But let's say you have a misfire, you read it with the OBD code reader, and it's cylinder number 6 like mine was. You'll pull the bad one out and one that's good. So I pulled out number 2, number 6, and then you'll swap them. Sometimes you can also mark the top so you don't get them mixed up. And then you're gonna plug your scan tool back in and reset the codes, and then start the engine up. Hopefully it's still misfiring, and it'll spit out another check engine light with another code, and then you read it. And if it says cylinder number 2, you know for sure that that coil pack is bad. It's a good, quick, easy way to diagnose this kind of stuff. But anyways, once you have one of these coil packs that goes bad, it's a really good idea to replace all 6 of them. And when one goes bad, usually other ones aren't far behind it. And it's kind of annoying when you replace one and you drive around and you have another one go bad and you have to replace that one and you have to do that 6 times over. I guess it makes sense if you don't have the money, you could just replace one. Or if you're just trading it in, like who cares about the dealer, just replace the one, get it running right, so they'll give you the maximum amount for it. But also, I believe there is a bulletin or in the repair instructions, it says to try not to mix these different brands of coil packs. You basically want to replace all of them to match the new ones. But anyways, I'm gonna pull all of the coil packs out of here. Okay, so I got them all out. I actually broke this one just because I was a little forceful. If you're just diagnosing and you want to save it, be a little more careful. That's the bad one. I took out a cylinder 6 at the gas station. And these are the new ones. So this is the one I got from BMW. And there is the part number if you want to see that. This is for the N52. If you have a different engine, it might be different. I paid about $50 or $60 even with my employee discount when I bought this many years ago. However, you can get the exact same part from Delphi, and I got these on Amazon for $23 a piece, which is pretty darn cheap because these are pretty nice. There's the part number. It's the GN10571, and I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can buy these, but they delivered them like the very next day because I have Prime. And also you'll see a GN10572, and I believe that is for the mini vehicles, and then the 71 is for BMW from what I've heard. I mean, this is the one I bought from BMW for this vehicle. And it's got the little white core, plastic core on there, but the 72 part number is black where this is white. So I don't know what the difference is. They probably would still work, but I would get the correct ones if you have a BMW. Let's go ahead and just compare the one I bought from BMW for a lot of money versus this one. Let's take a look here. They both say Delphi on them. The numbering looks a little different, but they both have the matrix code. Oh, so this says Delphi Technologies, and this has the BMW part code. So there's a little bit of a difference. They both have the white epoxy on top. And I think you're just wasting your money if you buy it from BMW, at least for this part. There's some parts you want to buy it directly from BMW, but it's super cool when you can buy aftermarket direct from the same manufacturer that makes it for BMW. Anyways, before we install these, one thing you want to do is go ahead and look inside all of your spark plug tubes. Also, you might want to replace your spark plugs, and I've already replaced all these spark plugs like when I bought the vehicle, and they will last a very long time. I think they're good for 100,000 miles, but you want to look in all of these spark plug tubes and make sure there is no oil. So cylinder 1 looks good. Cylinder 2 looks good. Cylinder 3, there's a teeny little bit of oil in there. Ooh, cylinder 4, there's a little bit of oil. Cylinder 5, no oil. Let's check out cylinder 6. And we got some oil in there. So I'm definitely gonna have to replace this valve cover gasket here really soon. I'll make a video on it. And I can tell it's leaking because if it sits for like a week, you get a little bit of smoke because it's kind of draining in the back down onto the exhaust manifold. So it definitely needs to be replaced. And also another thing that might leak is the oil cap. You can see mine's leaking a little bit. I don't think that's an OEM cap. But for now, I'm just gonna put a little brake clean into the ones with oil in them and kind of blow them out with compressed air. Get the oil out so I don't get it on my new oil packs. Got some brake cleaner with a little hose, and we'll just spray a bunch in there. And also, you may want to cover the connectors with like a rag or something so you don't get the solvent on the seals down in there, because it can make them expand and cause issues. Okay, I sprayed a bunch of brake clean in all of them, and I'll just blow them out with compressed air. And I'll use some rubber gloves and then have like a towel like on top of it so it doesn't like shoot all over my face. Look at all that oil. You can also jam a paper towel down into the spark plug tube and then get it out with one of these grabbers. Put in some brake clean. Okay, final cleaning. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't look too bad. And, oh, sorry. 5 and 6. Pretty darn clean. And of course, those will continue to leak, probably slowly, and then they'll just leak more and more and more the longer you wait to replace the valve cover gasket. I have seen a lot of cars where you take the coil pack out and the whole thing is just nothing but oil. It's like oil's pouring out as you take it out. It's kind of funny. And here's number 6 that was leaking oil. It wasn't enough to where it was like actually onto the spark plug boot. And just because you have those filled up with oil doesn't necessarily mean you'll have misfires, but you could. And it's definitely something you want to fix because it can really mess up the rubber. But anyways, we can go ahead and install all of the new ones. And I'll just show you kind of a sample of one. You kind of want to push it in a little bit, but not all the way. I like to plug it in first. This can be a little tricky sometimes. So the plug needs to engage with this part. Sometimes it struggles a little bit. There we go. Oh, see, that did not engage. See, it needs to pull the plug in. So very important that you do this correctly, because if you think it's plugged in, you're gonna have issues. There we go, I got it. A little bit of finagling for some reason sometimes. But you'll feel it engage and see how it's pulling that connector in so it lines up with there. That's what you want. If you did it like I did before, you're probably not gonna have a good time. You're gonna be driving down the road and misfiring because it's not making good contacts with the pins. But anyways, once it's engaged all the way in properly, you just pop it in and you'll hear like a little pop. You can wiggle it, make sure it's in there all the way. These ones are all pointing down. Some BMWs have like different little cutouts and they go different ways. But the N52, this little part right here, is pointing down into that little cutout on the valve cover. But anyways, I'll go ahead and finish installing the rest of them. Okay, I got them all in, and now we just need to install the engine cover. So I'll probably keep 4 of these, and just as backups, I'll like put them in a bag. They don't take up much space in case I find someone else that has a BMW Misfire. Maybe I can help them out. So let's go ahead and start it up, and nice and smooth, just the way we like it. Put it in drive. It's definitely not misfiring, but I think I do have a bad TPM sensor. We'll have to diagnose that later. But anyways, guys, I hope this video was helpful. In the next week or two, I think I'm gonna go ahead and replace that valve cover gasket and make a video on it, how to do it properly as a BMW technician. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time. Peace out.